Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. And guys, we ready to roll here from the city of H. Yeah, man, how you feeling, dog? How you feeling?
Yo, Book, I'm doing great. I mean, we were just talking about how it didn't look like there was any rain out here, but I'm getting rain now. So hopefully my Wi-Fi sticks with me. But I'm doing great. We're coming off of, I think, one of the best reality of wrestling shows of all time on Saturday night, Summer of Champions 7. What a hell of a show. Thanks for everybody who came out and saw it in person, everybody on YouTube, 12,000 plus who watched it live with us. Man, it was a great show on Saturday night. So I'm energized after that.
I'm definitely proud of, what the guys did at Reality of Wrestling. But my guys always rise to the occasion. But Summer Champions 7 was a special, special night. All the guys, all the girls went out there and they brought the noise. And we hope to have some very, very special news, big news for you guys, the Reality of Wrestling Nation, real soon about Reality of Wrestling going on the road. Roll on the go, baby. Roll on the go is what we all about, trying to create the Texas territorial system like it was back in the day, where my young guys could go somewhere and get some work on a weekly basis. Guys, if you want to be a part of Reality of Wrestling, go to realityofwrestling.com. Do it now. I do it for you.
Yeah, well, there was a young man years ago who wanted to be a part of the Reality of Wrestling, and look at him now, Sammy Guevara, right?
I thought you were talking about Kirby.
Kirby as well. Kirby as well.
Yeah, man. Kirby put up a big post talking about him being a kid one day, once upon a time, and now he's living out his dream. Like you say, Sammy Guevara, AEW star, will be on the show later on. So guys, stick around for that interview. Yeah, man, to see Sammy go from a kid, just coming to the shows to actually, coming to the school, and then now 28 years old, and he's part of a major organization, living that journey. And the journey, it's still got so much more to go, man. So many more chapters to be written. So yeah, man, I'm proud of Sammy, and AEW is going to be in town on Wednesday, guys, 7 p.m. at the Fertitta Center. Tickets are available right now, so get your tickets, guys. It's going to be a big show. First time AEW steps foot in the H, and
Sting will be performing, or will be wrestling along with Darby Allin. They're going to be taking on a tag team in tornado tag style. You're also going to have Chris Jericho and MJF. I think that's the main event of the show Wednesday night. Fertitta Center, I think that's over there in the University of Houston area. So definitely, you got to go check it out. I'm excited. I've never been to an AEW show. I remember we did StarCast, right? In Vegas, but I didn't go to the show that night. I left and came home. So I'm excited to see, what that experience is like in person.
Well, I got a chance to see a little bit of it when I was on the Jera Cruise. Remember, they had the show on the Jera Cruise as well. So I got a chance to see a little bit of the AEW experience. One thing about the AEW fans, man, they're rabid. They're rabid, man. That shit was full, man. That shit was full with a bunch of rowdy drunks, and they were having a bunch of fun at the Jera Cruise. So yeah, man, it's definitely something to see.
Well, it's almost like when you see something on television forever, and then you see what it's actually like in person, you get even a bigger respect for it, right? Like the first time I saw a WWE show, you're like, wow, this is massive. How do they do this every week? Or I remember a couple of years ago, I went to the Tonight Show, the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show, and you see the Tonight Show in person, and you're like, wow, man, this is crazy that they pull this off for him every single night, let alone every single week. And there's always a different energy that it can bring. So we'll see what it's like, and hopefully, because Houston showed up for WWE when they were in town. However many thousand, 12, 14, 15,000 people for SmackDown.
15,700 and some number, something like that. Yeah.
So hopefully they show up. Normally we do. H-Town, remember the Roughnecks? Roughnecks game was great. Remember the H-Town showed up for the Roughnecks.
Man, one thing about Houston, man, they're going to show up and show out. And like I say, AEW first time here in city of Houston. I'm sure the fans are highly anticipating on what is this thing all about, as well as to get a chance to see one of the favorites like Sammy Guevara, straight out of Reality of Wrestling. One of my kids, man, that, I try not to take any of the credit from my guys that come through the school and then make it to the next level. I try not to do that. But Sammy, I must say, man, a kid representing Reality of Wrestling, and he's doing it very, very well. Much big props to Sammy Guevara. Definitely, guys, do not miss out on the interview. If you're a Sammy Guevara fan, you got to stick around to the end of the show. How about that?
I like it. I like that, book. That's good. That's good.
No, man, but back to Summer Champion 7, man. My own little wrestling company. I got, it's a small company, but we work real hard for our artists. But I tell you, to watch Will Allday and Cam Cole, two young guys, independent wrestlers trying to make it to that next level. They went out and worked at a main event level. They went out and worked at a big company level, and that's what Reality Wrestling try to produce more than anything is, you don't have to, be a seasoned veteran at all. You just have to act like one.
Yeah.
And that's what my guys do, and they do that very, very well. And I just want to congratulate everybody on the card from top to bottom that went out there on Summer Champion 7 and brought it, man. Like you say, over 12,000 people watched a small independent company like Reality of Wrestling. So, guys, keep your ears open because Reality of Wrestling is getting ready to do some big things. Again, it ain't the first time, and it definitely will not be the last.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the match on the card, the main event, title for title was, off the charts. I think they went out there for 20 or 30 minutes and rocked it from beginning to end. But also the ladies, the Diamonds went out there. I want to give a big shout out to Promise Braxton, Roxy, Rachel Rose for going out there in a triple threat match and rocking it. That 6-man tag was sensational. Yeah. I really love that 6-man tag. So, I mean, literally from top to bottom. And by the way, big shout out to veteran Charlie Haas for coming through and making an appearance at the Reality of Wrestling.
Hey, man, that's what it's all about, man. It's all about surprises, Oh, he's expecting. Yeah, take it. That's what Macho Man said back in the day. So, yeah, man, that's what Reality of Wrestling is all about. I mean, a lot of people thought the Disco Inferno was going to show up, which
he's been there before.
Oh, man, and the thing is, my friend Glenn Gilberti did a hell of a job when he was here at Reality of Wrestling. And it's one thing about what?
He did. Here's the thing. You hear Disco Inferno, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Disco Inferno's coming in. And he came in to do like our Royal Rumble kind of show, right?
Yeah.
And I think he was like, when he's like third?
Man,
he was third in, and he worked his behind off.
I want to get out of the ring. He worked from the beginning to the end, and that's what I appreciate about my friends that come in. They don't just come in to pick up a check, man. They come in to help the product, help the young guys go out there and figure out what the thing's all about, what the business is all about, as far as how do you last, how do you create longevity in this business. I was looking at a post that one of my students posted. Gino, he had a match over the weekend with Too Cold Scorpio, and Too Cold Scorpio is a very, very good friend of mine. And the post read, after tonight's match, I'm here sitting under the learning tree. And he was sitting on the ground, and Too Cold was sitting in a chair. So it was just perfect post as far as a young guy really trying to learn what this thing is really all about, and knowing, you got to know who do it well. And you got to, lean on those people and say, man, how did you get there? How did you do this? How did you do that? And to see my student who's getting probably the same advice he got from me, but is being reaffirmed by someone like Too Cold Scorpio is great. Guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Independent wrestling is full of charismatic persona, incredible athleticism,
shooting star, track from pressure covered,
and at times, complete chaos.
Got attention. Don't do it, Will. Oh my gosh! Senton bomb through the table.
This is where the young guys, the young girls come today to pay their dues, to learn the craft, to start the journey to become the next wrestling superstar. I'm WWE Hall of Famer Booker T, and these are the Indies. Can you dig it, sucker?
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. It's all about what's in the news. What's in the news right now is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, getting back inside the square circle. I said it. I said something about a week or so ago. I said, hey, man, I talked to Ric Flair, having a drink at the bar, double Jack and Coke. Of course, that's what I'm drinking every time. And, Rick tells me, he said, look, I am never going to retire. As long as I can breathe, as long as I can walk, I'm never going to retire. If I could be in that ring right now, that's where I would be. Ric Flair, Triple Mania, Mexico City. It all went down. Ric Flair back in the ring with El Hidalgo taking on who were they working on that show?
Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega. I didn't see the match or anything like that, but I saw the clips on social media, and Ric Flair looked like he's still up to the old tricks, still the dirtiest player in the game. He still has the Ric Flair chops. He still has the woo. He still can walk it like he talk it, and he can still do that figure four leg lock. Ric Flair's back. Ric Flair's back in the ring. Now the question is, will we see Ric Flair make that walk down the aisle in a singles competition versus Sting? That's the question. That's what people want to know. What do you guys out there think? Do you think Sting is going to be back inside Ric Flair is going to be back inside the square circle, perhaps with someone like Sting, a farewell, legendary, history-making match? What do you think? I don't know. Brad, what do you think? Look like we've lost Brad here for a second. We're having some technical difficulties here in the Houston area. The weather a band has sat in over the city, and we got rain coming in like crazy all over the place. But Ric Flair, for me, like I say, I always say, how you going to tell a man that he can't go out there and do his work? How you going to tell a man that he got to lay it down? How you going to tell a man that he cannot feed his family? You can't do it. You just cannot do that. So for me and Ric Flair, hey, bro, if you could do it, if you want to do it, shoot your shot. Because people are going to always tell you, hey, man, you're too old to do this. You're too old to do that. People even tell me right now at 56 years old, oh, old man, this, that, whatnot, and the other. But for me, I know, just say, for instance, you put me in the gym. Just say, for instance, you put me on the bench press. I can go with most of the young guys on the roster. You put me in the curl zone. I can go with just about any of the guys. I mean, as far as endurance in the gym, I could go all day, all night long. But no, but I'm serious. But I must say, it's a young man's game. But you cannot tell the old guy that he cannot do it. I look at guys like Christian right now, and he's doing some of his best work. I look at guys like Chris Jericho right now. He's doing some of his best work. Now, the thing is, can Chris Jericho go out and perform at the level he could when he was 25? No. I'm not going to even say perhaps. No, he cannot. But is Chris Jericho 10 times smarter than he was when he was 25? I would almost believe so. And I think that's the difference with professional wrestlers being able to go out there and still do it, because this business allow us to still be able to go out there and do it, because it is entertainment, highly form of contact of entertainment. But at the end of the day, it's still entertainment.
I hear that. I hear you on that one, Book. You know, I remember. I think I think you said a long time ago that you scratched all your itches, but I think that Ric Flair is just he's continually got the itch, right? Like that's just a guy. It's in his blood. He can't do anything about it, right?
Like a heroin addict. You know, you itching you start doing that right there. You need a fix. Ric Flair, man, and the thing is, it would be hard for me, you know, to see Ric Flair, you know, go to the grave without stepping inside the square circle just one more time. I told my wife. I used to always say it. I've since then I've sold the car, but I used to always tell my wife, you know, when I die, I want to be buried in my Z28. You know what I mean? Because I still want to feel what it felt like to ride, you know, free. When I first got that car, it was something that I never wanted to go away. You know, like I say, since then I've sold the car just because I felt like I need to move on. But Ric Flair is still in that stage, man. He's still just like, for instance, the movie Christine. You ever seen the movie Christine?
No.
The movie Christine is about a old car, and the car is like possessed. And when you get in this car, it's like from the 50s era. It only plays like old music. It won't even get the radio stations on today. It had its own mind. It spoke to the driver. It had demons. It was definitely a dark story about a car. And it was, like I say, that era though. That era is something like Ric Flair. Just say, for instance, Ric Flair. Just say if it was 1975. Can you realize how much fun Ric Flair was having in 1975? 1980? You know,
insane
85.
amounts, insane levels of incredibleness.
Exactly. I mean, that era right there, which everything was just carefree. So just think about wanting to feel what that felt like, you know, just one more time. It's something I don't think that ever really go away for someone like Ric Flair. I mean, and it's in his blood. It's in his DNA. This is what Ric Flair does. And he does it better than anybody else. Even at the age Ric Flair is right now, he's still just as entertaining as he always been. You see Ric Flair at, you know, a Triller event. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Man, that's Ric Flair. Let me get a picture. I gotta get a picture with Ric Flair. That's what you're gonna do. You're not gonna say, man, look at this old guy. You're not gonna, that's gonna be the furthest thing from your thoughts. You're gonna say, man, that's Ric Flair, man. I gotta get a photo with him. Guys like that, man, they are timeless. So I say, man, let the brother do what he want to do as long as he can.
You know, I have come around to this idea, and I'll just say this because I have recently, I think on this show, you know, a few months ago, I compared Ric Flair. He's like the new.
Yeah, but the microphone just went out there. Nope, you still going. Your microphone just bleeped out on me. Just there it is. There it is. Nope. There,
I'm having issues.
Yeah, I hear you right now, but I hear like some cars going by in the background too, you know.
There we are. What I was gonna say is, if I can keep my technology in order, I compared Ric Flair to like the Hugh Hefner of now, right? Because like when Hef got to be an old guy, everybody loved him. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody's like, oh, look, it's Hugh Hefner being Hugh Hefner. And you know what? No one ever said anything about Hugh Hefner stop and run around with these young women, right?
Come on. No, hell no.
For old Hef. So you know what? The wrestling ring is Ric Flair's beautiful blonde woman, right? And who am I to say? That he can't go out there and style and profile like never before?
Look, man, these old guys, man.
What they say about Space Mountain? Oldest ride, longest line. Woo!
No, man, one thing about these old guys, man, when I was coming up, man, I couldn't wait to be 50. You know?
Yeah. I hear that.
No, the reason I say that is because I used to go to the club, you know, and the guy in the VIP, you know, he'd have 3-4 good-looking young women with him, you know, and he was 50 years old. And I'm like, man, I want to be like him. You know, I need to be a boss. I need to get all the ladies like that. You know, so me personally, I couldn't wait to actually mature and get to that point to where I felt like, you know, I was a boss. But a lot of work go into that as well. Ric Flair, like you say, man, like Hefner. People never said, you know, look at this old guy. People always said, man, that's Hef. You know what I mean?
That's the real boy.
you wish you was Hef. You know what I mean? And Ric Flair, no different. You wish you was the Nature Boy. I see we got a super chat. Let's take that super chat, man.
All right. This is from Roland Curtis for the $20. Thank you, Roland. With the Road title now absorbed, will the Road title absorb the Texas title like the IC absorbed the European title? Will you strip all day of the Texas title like Vince did the Ultimate Warrior when he unified at Mania 6? Or will you allow him to be a champ, Book?
You know, it's not something that we've talked about just yet, but I do see a tournament for the Texas Championship. I don't think it would be fair for Will Allday to have to defend both championships, you know, in succession like that. I just don't think it, you know, can he do it? Perhaps, yes. But I just don't think it would be right for the rest of the roster of the reality of wrestling. These guys got to get out there and they're going to have to fight for it. I'm not saying that have been determined, but that would be the idea for me that I would want to go. I have to talk to my staff and we'll figure it out.
All right. There you have it. There you have it right there. I think that, look, here's the thing. If you ask Will all day, he's going to want to defend him.
Yeah, man. You know, I mean, when I came to WWE, I was champ. People always talk about everybody else being champ. They don't talk about me. What about me? What about me? You know what I mean? I was champ when I came to WWE, and I had to give up one of them, of course. And that's normally the way it is. I think that's the only right thing to do for the rest of the roster. That's, you know, what do they say? Just chomping at the bit, trying to get a piece of the action. Guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
This is Booker T World Gym Arena in Texas City, the home to the Reality of Wrestling Training Center. It's a 20,000 square foot facility with more than 50 full-time students and wrestlers from around the world. Inside the World Gym Arena sits a 9,000 square foot venue set up for weekly shows.
From on top, 1-2 moonsault.
Where our students showcase their skills in front of a live audience.
What he's done here is awesome. He's created opportunity, and he's creating great talent, as you guys well know.
In the back, a full weight room.
6 up.
Complete with state-of-the-art equipment and personal trainers.
There you go. Two more.
A full staff and office personnel.
One more.
Running the day-to-day operation. We have interview sets for TV production, promo classes, quarterly combines. We evaluate progression and team building. Referees, commentators, ring announcers, and live television production. At the World Gym Arena, we don't just teach you how to become a professional wrestler, but an elite sports entertainer. This is Reality of Wrestling.
Shup. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We're still having a little technical difficulty, guys, but we still hear everything. We're like a half second behind or something like that. But we're still looking good. We're feeling good. I see we got another super chat. Brad, want to take care of that?
Yeah, let's go for it. This is from B Star. Book, do you think the Steiner brothers will ever be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame?
No.
Why not?
No, man. You know, the thing is, let me. Should they be? Yes. Will they be? I don't think so. Just because of, I mean, Rick Steiner, he's been one of those guys to where he's let a lot of things just roll off of his shoulder, and he doesn't really think about it too much. But his brother Scott, man, Scott has always been very, very outspoken about the industry, the company. A lot of people in it, and I'm sure he's rubbed a lot of people. You know, was the stuff he was saying right or wrong? That's here nor there. Um, should they be in the Hall of Fame on their accomplishments and their accomplishments alone? Harlem Heat is in the Hall of Fame. We never worked in the WWE. The Steiner brothers did. Steiner brothers worked in the WWE. They worked in WCW. They worked in, actually the what's that?
Sam Houston Coliseum?
That's not Sam Houston.
No.
UWF. UWF.
You're talking about the promotion. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just trying to say how long these guys been around. They've been around for a long time. They've done it in every promotion. These guys have been the IWGP Tag Team Champions. My brother and I, we never became IWGP Tag Team Champions. These guys, the Steiner brothers, they really did do it all as far as professional wrestling, tag team wrestling goes. So I give those guys big props. Should they be in the Hall of Fame? Yes. Should the Nasty Boys be in the Hall of Fame? Speaking of the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobs, he's in the hospital right now fighting for his life. Should Brian Knobs and Jerry Sags, the Nasty Boys, be in the Hall of Fame? Yes. I think those guys should be in the Hall of Fame. Will they get there? I don't know. I don't know what determines. I don't know who makes the decisions as far as that goes. But both of those tag teams, they should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Steiner brothers. You want to tell that story that I heard your brother talk about where y'all switched roles in the middle of the show?
It's just one of those things where Scotty and Scott Steiner and I, even though Scott and I, we've always been somewhat tight. Even though we've never been the type to go out and break bread or anything like that. But back in the day, it was always me being the young guy in the locker room, and I was always braggadocious. I was always wanting to be better than everybody else. And at this point in time, it was who's the better heel and who's the better babyface. At that point in time, my brother and I, we were heels. Steiner brothers were babyfaces, but we thought we could be better babyfaces than those guys. And Scott and I, we were actually back and forth at odds with, who was the better babyface, who was the better heel. And we actually had a match overseas in Germany. And in the middle of the match, we switched roles where I became the babyface and he became the heel. And that's the thing that we used to do back in the day to entertain ourselves. We would do some of the stupidest stuff to entertain ourselves. I remember one night I told the guys that I was going to go in the ring that night. Can't remember who I was working, but I said, I'm not going to throw one punch the whole match. And I think I had like 20 minutes. And I didn't throw one punch the whole match. And I had the guys in the back looking through the curtain, waiting on me to throw that one punch just so they could, get on me. And the last thing I did before we went into the finish was throw one punch. Boom. And that was the only punch I threw in the whole match. But we would entertain ourselves back then. Was definitely something that I think made the trips. It definitely made the memories of those trips. Some of the stupidest things happened. Is some of the most memorable moments on those trips, like Scotty and I, bickering back and forth, who's the better heel and who's the better babyface as we in a match. It's a little crazy.
And that was a house show, or was that like for television?
It was a house show. All the shows overseas were house shows, and normally one of the reasons I wanted to be the babyface, I think more importantly than anything, is back then the heels never won in the house shows overseas. We always lost every time. I don't think I remember my brother and I ever winning a match overseas in Germany. So I think that's why I wanted to be the babyface. I wanted just, I was a better babyface.
Oh
Yeah,
man, I love
yeah,
that. I love
yeah.
that. I love hearing stories like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. That's the, like I say, that's the business. For me, getting into the commentary on the road, I used to, the overseas tours. I used to be the commentary guy for the boys, and create stories, create different names for the guys, create different names of the moves, and just be as stupid as I possibly can, just to have fun. Because a lot of times, a lot of people don't understand and don't realize it. It's lonely on the road. It could get very, very taxing on the road if you're one of those guys who just want to stick in your room and not want to really experience everything that's going on. Just say, for instance, you go to Japan, you don't know anybody, but man, you want to get to Roppongi. You want to get to Roppongi. You want to hang out. You want to go to the Hard Rock Cafe. You want to, you might run into some Americans, but you definitely want to explore.
For you, what was the way that you would stay sane on these trips? Because especially when you go overseas and you're working all these shows back to back to back, other than just playing around sometimes in the ring, not all the time, what would be the ways that you would be able to get through some of those tough road trips?
And I remember my first trip to Japan. Only thing I had was a Sony Walkman. All right, we didn't have we didn't have no internet.
I mean, don't date yourself here, but
No, I'm serious, man. All I had was a Sony Walkman. I'm talking about with the cassettes, not the disc. And I swear, man, going through those mountains on that bus, sometimes 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 hour trips. If I didn't have that Maze and Frankie Beverly to just totally just calm my mind and totally look at California, you know, all through those mountains, man, I would have lost my mind. So I think music for me was the one thing that definitely kept me grounded, because you hear the stories, you hear about the tours, you hear about the pain, the agony, how hard it is, guys getting hooked on opioids, guys getting hooked on all kind of different drugs and whatnot. You can lose your sanity out there if you're not totally mentally strong to the point to where you don't fall into those same pitfalls. But for me, I just you got to understand where I came from. I was a kid who didn't, grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. So when I started experiencing, success in life, I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. So the dopamines from just being out there doing something like that for me was more than enough. I had seen, the drug scene, as a kid. But like I say, I had never experienced the success. And once I felt a little bit of that, I go, wow, this is not something that I just want to experience one time. This is something I want to experience for the rest of my life. So that for me, literally the dopamines, the endorphins just kicked in. And I was like, man, this is where I want to be forever. 30 years later, I'm still here. And I still got those same dopamines, that same euphoria.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I tell you, man, we gotta talk about Rampage. AEW Rampage debuted last Friday, 9 p.m. Central Time here in Houston. What did you think about the show? Main event, Christian Cage went out there and won the TNA World Championship. What'd you think about that match?
I love the match. I just love that I'm able to see Christian back. I mean, he was gone for however many years. I can't remember now. I get him. It was 8, 9 years, something like that.
6.
7, but
Yeah.
for 6, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a long time. It It was a long time. And to see him to come back and be able to work at all is great. But I remember I didn't think, like, when Christian was in WWE, he was awesome, obviously, when Edge and Christian were a thing. But to me, he never became the main event guy that he would go on to be until he went to TNA. When he went to Impact Wrestling and started working there and becoming the NWA champion and really finding himself as a main event level performer, that was when Christian, to me, popped off. So then all these years later, for him to be wrestling for that Impact World title on the first AEW Rampage and beating Kenny Omega, who hasn't taken a loss to anybody in several months, I thought it was a really cool way to set the tone of that show. And also, Fuego del Sol, an upcoming guest on the Indies, got his AEW contract for a shoot live on the air. So I thought that was a really cool show to start things off.
Yeah, congratulations to Fuego del Sol. We got to take a quick break, but I want to continue the conversation talking about Christian winning the TNA World Championship. Back in a minute. So the Young Bucks, I had heard about these guys, but I didn't know them or anything like that. And they had a WWE tryout. And these two guys, they were, hanging in the hallways. It seemed like they were.
Independent wrestling is full of charismatic.
So the Young Bucks, I had heard about these guys, but I didn't know them or anything like that. And they had a WWE tryout. And these two guys, they were, hanging in the hallways. It seemed like they were, I don't know, they were kind of like off to themselves. I don't know. I don't know. It just felt funny. And I was getting ready to do I was doing commentating back then, and I had my jacket, laid over this, piece of equipment, and I walked by, and one of the Young Bucks was leaning on my jacket, and I was like, "Hey, bro, that's my jacket right there," and he goes, "Oh, okay," I got my jacket and I walked off, and I was like, I didn't realize it, but they were there for a tryout, and I was like, man, after I realized it, I said something on one of the podcasts or our show or something. These guys didn't even shake my hand, and then next thing you know, it was a big thing going around as far as me not shaking the Young Bucks' hand. And then they started doing a thing online to where, they wouldn't shake anybody's hand, and then, they had a thing with RVD, where they wouldn't shake RVD's hand. So I was like, man, you know what I mean? These guys are taking this thing to another level. Can't wait to see them. So I wanted to fight the Young Bucks. I want to get it to them.
You would have put hands on them.
I want to put hands on them.
Put those Fifth Ward beads on them.
Yeah. And we ended up running into each other at an independent show. And I'm still a little bit hot, So we end up talking and whatnot. And, we end up getting back around to what happened up in WWE as far as my jacket goes. And they go, bro, reason we didn't say anything to you, man, you're intimidating.
Sucker!
Boom! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. Christian, TNA World Champ.
Talk about.
I must say, man, Christian, I always have said Christian is the most underrated professional wrestler that ever came through the WWE. I always thought Christian was top-notch worker, guy that can go out there and do anything with anybody in any style of match. I always talk about when it was a match where it was more than one person and myself. Let's say, for instance, triple threats, battle royals, stuff like that. I would always come to work and I was a part of one of those type of matches, 8-man or whatever, and I was always praying and wishing Christian was somewhere on the opposite side or just in that match, just because every time I would in that style of match, I wouldn't even think about what I was going to do. I would just go to Christian and I would say, Christian, what am I doing tonight? And he would say, I'll get back with you in a little while. And I'll go, okay, cool. So I'll go and, play my game or do whatever I was doing, and
Right.
he'll get back with me later on, and then he'll go, okay, right here you're gonna do the scissor kick. Okay, right here you're gonna do the spinneroonie. Yeah, okay, right here you're gonna do the bookend. Okay, and I would be like, okay, thanks, I appreciate it, bro. So he literally would tell me everything that I had to do in that match, and it would be such an easy night for me, a night off when I was working with Christian. Then, like I said, when I was working with him in singles matches for the title, the Intercontinental Championship, my first and only Intercontinental title reign. Man, Christian and I, we had so many great matches that wasn't on TV. On the house shows, we had so much fun. It was a labor of love going out there and performing for the crowd. And Christian's one of those guys. You go, man, and this guy, what's to talk about this guy? He's not that good. And then you get in the ring with him, you go, wow, this guy's pretty good. I thought that way about Matt Hardy too back in the day. I used to always say, man, why is this guy so over, man? I mean, come on. I mean, what is it? And then I got in the ring with Matt Hardy on the house show, and the fans were going, Matt Hardy so loud. I was like, okay, that's why this guy's so over, So, man, watching Christian now, I must say he's doing his best work. Let me say this. He's doing some of his best work right now. And I just want to say, man, big ups to Christian going out there and winning the TNA World Championship.
And that's saying a lot that he's doing some of his best work at this stage of his career with all that layoff that he had. He really does look like he came back and didn't miss a spot. Was he, and to go to that, what you just said, him and Matt Hardy, was it when you got in the ring with them, not the fact that they were just over with the crowd, but when you got in the ring with them, you were like, oh, okay. Like I didn't think that y'all were this good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think that they were that good when just watching them from the outside looking in. And sometimes that's just the way it is. You got to be around a person and then they go and you see something, then you go, oh, okay. I remember when I first came to the company, Earl Hebner, we were on one of the house shows, and he came up to
referee.
me. Yeah, Earl Hebner, the referee, came up to me one day and he said, Book, when they signed you, I just didn't know what the big deal was about, and he goes, now I know. And it was from him being out there on those house shows with me, going out there, entertaining, having so much fun. Attitude played a whole lot into it as well. Just being one of the guys that people gravitated to, and he was one of them. I gravitated towards him too. So yeah, man, Christian is definitely one of those guys that you look at from the outside looking in, and you just may not see how ultra talented, he really is. And his mind for this business is, is vast. Let's just say that. And he's one of those guys that could have worked in every era. That's how good Christian is. And I just want to just be able to give him that props here live on the air.
Man, that's awesome. It's awesome to hear too. I think from like a fan's perspective that there are you're always learning, and there are always levels. Like I remember CM Punk like a long time ago gave an interview where he was talking about being on the indies and wrestling Eddie Guerrero, right? And at this point in his career, he said, I thought I'd figured everything out. I thought I mastered the craft, right? And he said, then I got in there with Eddie Guerrero, and I was like, wow, I don't know anything about this business, right? And to me, hearing that come from him, it's just interesting as a fan saying, wow, you would think that when you're a pro, you know what you're doing. Like, everything. And then you still realize, even when you're 10 years in the game or whatever Punk was at that time, there are levels to this, and you can learn from everybody you get in there with.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the first things that I learned when I got to WWE, and Blackjack Lanza, he gave me some advice. And I had been in the business, 11 years at that point. And I went out and I utilized the advice, and it worked. And I came back through the curtain going, wow, why did I not know that? So it's always one of these things, man, where you're learning the craft. You're trying to get to that point to where you can master the craft. And I look at Christian, he's definitely one of those guys who have thought about that intricate detail to know everything about going out there and making the fans feel a certain way. He's like a psychologist inside the ring. He knows everything that's going on in the fans' head and what they want at that perfect time. Like I say, some of the best work he's done, he's doing it right now. We got a couple super chats, man. Let's take care of it.
Yeah, let's go to our first one first, I believe, is from Roland Curtis, who says, I might agree with Booker T about Christian being the most underrated. I think that unprettier, a.k.a. kill switch, is the most underrated finisher. He turned a backslide into a move that could kill you.
You know, not just that, though. Go back and look at the highlights of Christian not doing his move, but taking somebody else's moves. Christian, he took the best RKO that I've ever seen onto the stairs from the top rope. And it was beautiful. Only Christian could have went out there and pulled something off like that. Christian is one of those guys that he's thinking about his opponent and making him look a certain way more so than he's thinking about himself at certain times, because he knows if he doesn't beat anybody, it's all for naught. And that's what the good wrestlers do. That's what the good performers do. Good entertainers go out there and think about not just themselves, even though you got to think about yourself at certain times. It's going to be a time for that. And Christian knows exactly what that means. We got one more super chat.
Yeah, this is from Stellar Justin Lopez with the $5. Appreciate you, Justin. Book, incredibly, it's coming up on 20 years this week that you main evented SummerSlam with The Rock. What are your memories of that match?
Man, I remember my head was tied up like a pretzel, because I was working with The Rock, man, and The Rock was one of those guys that, intricate detail. He was very, very detail oriented to where he wanted everything to look pristine. Everything had to be on time. Everything was, had to be right. Now, and me personally, I could appreciate someone that's got that work ethic. But for me at that time, I just was not comfortable working that style. And I think for me, I tell people all the time, people say it was a really good match. But for me, I could not think about anything but the match when I was doing it. And that's why the memories for me is not as vivid as they were if I was just freelancing per se. Yeah. Right, painting a Picasso just out of my mind, and it wasn't that for me. It wasn't like painting the Picasso. It was like literally like being an architect, and you have to draw the line straight as you possibly can. Everything has to be almost numbered to actually match up at the end of the day as far as what you're working on. And for me, like I say, it was really, really hard to work that way, but I pulled it off. But it was like the Matrix in my mind. It was like numbers that only I could read.
Yeah, I think that, and let me ask you this, because I remember you saying on this show before, like you were thinking, like you just said, a lot working with The Rock. And Rock was a top guy at the time, maybe the number one or number two guy in the entire company. Coming off of the thing with Steve Austin, where Steve, on your first night, no fault of your own, took a bump the bad way, got an injury, right? Were you, after that moment, a little bit more, I don't know, like almost cautious when you were in the ring with somebody, like a top guy, like, oh man, I hurt Steve, not on any fault of your own, but I hurt Steve on this first night in. Let me not do anything else.
Honestly, I never felt timid in that fashion or anything like that.
Timid, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, even after the Steve Austin incident, because the Steve Austin incident, it came from, second and third hand parties telling me that Steve was hurt. It never came from the horse's mouth or anything like that. I never found out about the Steve Austin injury till I did Steve Austin's podcast, a year ago?
Yeah.
That's when I found out about the injury, really. It was swirling around the company. Those guys knew about it. They knew it had, Steve got hurt. But like I say, the one thing I always look for is, if someone's going to come up to me and tell me something to my face. And I always said, if Steve didn't come and tell me he was hurt, obviously he wasn't hurt that bad. I remember running into Steve and I asked him, "Hey man, you all right?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, I'm all right." And so I pretty much just brushed it off from that point right there. And Steve and we never had a conversation as far as, "Hey man, you're dangerous. You could have hurt me." Like I say, that kind of stuff. I don't think I was privy to that information at that point in time when I was in WWE. I was still kind of like an outsider. I'm sure those guys was having reservations, perhaps, should we use this guy? But from listening to Steve talk, him saying that, hey, man, it wasn't that guy's fault. That pretty much, smoothed everything over for me.
Go ahead.
Go
We gotta go to break. No, we got to go to break. But I was going to say, and it probably was to your benefit they didn't bring anything up, because if it really wasn't your fault, why even give you something to worry about?
And if they would have brought it up, maybe I would have been timid.
Yeah.
Also, guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
And your question for the win. In The Insider, Al Pacino's character works on which TV show?
Is it 60 Minutes?
And your winner!
The Movie Trivia Schmodown, the most competitive movie trivia league in the world.
It's MMA or boxing. It's like you want to see the two best scrapping it out.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
2 points. Movie release date.
Wow.
Danny DeVito.
That's correct. You mother! Rising sun! And your winner!
Championships, factions, the best in the world play here.
I'm ready to schmo down. Throw down with the schmo down.
Kevin! This is why we play the Schmodown.
The professional sports league of movie trivia. This isn't bar trivia. This is the Movie Trivia Schmodown.
Sucker!
Boom! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. I don't know what happened to my picture, but my picture's gone. Hold on 1 second, just make sure.
Maybe there's that little camera button. Try to hit that. But it could be we're having crazy internet and technological issues due to the storms here in Houston right now. Book, you might be able to leave and come back in and see if that fixes it if you want to.
Take them for a second, and I'll do that.
I got you. All right. But what we're going to be talking about again today is we're getting very close to one of the biggest fights of the calendar year was going to be Errol Spence Jr. taking on Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Booker and I have had the privilege of covering both those fights. Both those guys fight live in Las Vegas. They're going to go down this Saturday. But now Ugas has stepped in for Errol Spence because Errol Spence apparently detached his retina and a significant eye injury. And I'm not sure how he would have done that. There's Book.
Yeah.
Book, we're talking right now about this big fight going down this Saturday night. Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao taking on Ugas live on pay-per-view. Check your local listings for start time, price, and all that. You can also check out all the information we're going to be putting out on social media and how you can order the fight. But look, it's cool that Manny Pacquiao's fighting. Ugas, that's a great fight. But man, was I looking forward to him versus Errol Spence.
Yeah, definitely. I was looking forward to the Spence Pacquiao fight. Southpaw versus Southpaw, young lion versus old lion, young champion versus the ultimate legend. It was going to be a great fight. Unfortunately, Errol Spence had an eye injury that he had to have emergency surgery on. And people are saying right now that we don't think we will ever see Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. just because of time restraints on Pacquiao's career. I see that. I totally understand that. But what a great replacement in Yordenis Ugas, a guy who has been definitely knocking on the door of welterweight championship supremacy for a long time. And I thought the fight that he had with Showtime Sean Porter would have put him in that position. What a great fight it was. Sean Porter got the nod. If I was on the judging committee, I do think the nod should have went towards Yordenis Ugas, but Yordenis Ugas bounced back since then and went on a winning streak again. Brandon Figueroa was his last victim. And I tell you, to go out and beat a man to the point to where you beat him into submission in the boxing game, it tells me that you are a bad man. Ugas, a guy who has dynamite in both hands. Ugas is a guy who I think is much bigger than Pacquiao when they stand up with each other face to face, as well as the power edge. I think it's going to go to Ugas as well. A lot of people thinking this is going to be a wash as far as Manny Pacquiao going out here and wiping Ugas out. But me personally, I've never seen Yordenis Ugas in any real trouble. I've never seen him rocked in any situation to where it looked like, man, he may be in some big trouble. I haven't seen that as far as Ugas go. Me personally, if I was betting on this fight, and I will be in Vegas, and I'm going to look at the betting line. If the line is right, I'm putting the next month's mortgage on Ugas.
I thought you weren't a betting man. All of a sudden, Book's like, I'm betting the mortgage on Ugas.
No, man, I'm serious, man. I really think Ugas have a really, really great chance at winning this fight. I'm talking about more than 50% chance of winning this fight for Ugas, in my opinion.
Wow.
I think people are looking at the legendary status of Manny Pacquiao. I understand that. I get it. But Yordenis Ugas right now, this is the biggest moment of his career. This is the biggest moment of his boxing life. And to think for one moment that he's not coming to win, I think you definitely can be setting yourself up for a big loss. If you think this is going to be a wash for Manny Pacquiao over Ugas, you're fooling yourself. You're just kidding yourself if you think that way. Or you're just not a boxing aficionado as far as knowing what a guy like Ugas bring to the table. I really feel like this could be Manny Pacquiao's last fight. And it could all be due to Yordenis Ugas going out there and making a huge statement. That's just
Wow. So you think it's possible that this is the last time we'll see Manny Pacquiao? Now, I got to say, Book, you're very good at picking out fights. You are. But the last time you picked against Manny Pacquiao, he made you look not so great at picking fights.
That's true. That's true.
He went out there and boxed Keith Thurman.
He beat up Keith Thurman.
He was like he was 30.
Yeah. But the thing is, if in a fight with Ugas and Thurman, I'm picking Ugas. Okay, this guy like Christian, he's very, very underrated.
Yeah,
I really feel like Ugas is a guy who is top tier talent, and I think in this fight with Manny Pacquiao, and the thing is, I could be wrong 100% on this, but I feel like Manny Pacquiao has never been hit. I'm talking about to the point to where he feel like he has to throw in the towel. I think Yordenis Ugas is going to be the guy that's going to hit Pacquiao, and he's going to hit him hard. And all he had to do is stun Manny Pacquiao one time to put him in a whole lot of trouble. One thing about being over 40 and being a fighter, you can become old very, very quick. And of course, like you said earlier, Manny Pacquiao made a fool out of me in the fight against Thurman. I think in hindsight, going back and look at that fight, he was just a better fighter than Keith Thurman on that night. I take nothing away from Manny Pacquiao, but I do really feel like in a fight against Yordenis Ugas, a fight that he was definitely not expecting, a guy that he really hadn't trained for or thought that much about, it's going to be a much more difficult fight for Manny Pacquiao to go out there and navigate that system. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I really feel like Ugas is going to stop Manny Pacquiao in the worst way. I really do.
But I mean, doesn't it kind of go both ways though in that regard? Because Ugas hadn't been training to fight Manny Pacquiao this whole time. Pacquiao's actually coming off a real camp.
Yeah. But thing is, I don't think Ugas is one of the type of guys that train for. I'm not going to sit here and get into this guy's head or anything like that. But what I see in Ugas is a fighter. Okay,
right.
When I look at Ugas being his style, being prepared to fight whoever they put in front of him. This guy, Yordenis Ugas, he ain't sleeping on silk sheets. All right?
True. He's got fire in the belly.
This is a guy that's like major hungry right now and knows that if you don't cash in right now, being a late unexpected entry against Manny Pacquiao, this is almost like finding a lottery ticket. But you got to go cash it in order for you to get the money. All right. Right now, Ugas is salivating. I mean, his mouth is watering because it's a steak in front of him that he's never seen. I'm talking about one of them 20-ounce steaks.
Yeah.
That if you just finish it, you get it for free. It's one of them. You know what I'm saying? And,
if you eat this, it's on the house.
And trust me, Ugas right now is hungry, bro. He will finish that steak in prime time. So I really feel, I could be wrong, but at the end of the night, on Saturday night, I think people are going to be looking at Booker T and say, man, I don't know how he did it. I don't know what his thought process was, how he came up with the conclusion. But I feel like Yordenis Ugas is going to stop Manny Pacquiao's reign, and this could be the last time we see Manny Pacquiao inside the square circle ever again.
Wow. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out this Saturday night. I know you're planning on being there in Las Vegas.
I'm going to be there.
Before, I know this is our last segment, so before we leave today, we have a couple more super chats. This is from Roland Curtis, who says, are you guys concerned that Texas's own Errol Spence's eye injury might be connected to his horrific car accident? Can he even ever be 100% after all of this?
You know what? I honestly do believe that the eye incident is a result of the car accident. I really do, because if you notice, his eye was different when he came back after the car accident. It seemed like it was more closed. I don't know if they had to go in and do the surgery to repair something or what, but I do know this. I didn't hear about any injuries to Errol Spence's eye leading up to the fight, and then all of a sudden he had to have eye surgery. That right there is a little suspect in itself. I don't know, Brad, did you hear anything about the eye?
I heard somewhere that he was injured in sparring, but I just can't see how that just doesn't add up to me.
It doesn't add up. I don't see that. I don't see it happening that way. I do think it was a result from the car accident, and I do think also that he will not ever be 100%. And the thing is, I think Errol beat Danny Garcia less than 100%. I really do. That's how good of a fighter he really is. What's next?
We have another one here from Anthony King. Hey, Booker, not only are you one of the GOATs in the ring, but you're also one of the funniest. Who else can wrestle and commentate at the same time?
Black Snow.
Black Snow, baby.
Oh, man. I appreciate
Here comes Booker T with that big thrust kick.
Oh. The part I like when I did the commentary, I was making the sound boom before I would actually make contact.
Yeah. And we have one more here from Christian Pintado, excuse me. Your thoughts on WWE's lackluster mid-card booking and of its titles US and IC compared to the glory days with you a part of it?
You know, man, I hate saying this kind of stuff, man. I just think the talent back in the day, you needed titles to actually, fuel, storylines and whatnot. And certain guys were able to, step into those roles and, have those feuds for those titles. The Intercontinental title, man, it was big back in the day, man. You wanted to be the Intercontinental champion because it was going to catapult you to becoming the world heavyweight champion. That's what it was back in the day. So yeah, I totally I just think the talent, man, is different these days. I think that's why they're thinking about retooling things and trying to go on a different route now, just because, I love, what these young guys go out there and bring to the table now. I mean, some of them, some of the most awesome athletes I've ever seen in my life, doing stuff that I never could imagine, dream of doing. But some people say that's not wrestling, and I tend to agree with a lot of that, because I'm all about going out there and this is my concept. I worked a very, very long time to try to master the craft of making a tear come out of a fan's eye. A real tear would form and it would actually fall out and roll down their cheek. That's the art of going out and making people feel a certain way. And I think these days, a lot of the wrestlers go out and they make themselves feel a certain way. It's about, their internet, social media following, and how many times people are going to replay and watch that move they did, opposed to there again, someone crying and feeling a certain way about that person because of what was going on in the ring with that person. Those days, they're gone. And I think to get back to that point, the wrestler, let's just say this, the wrestler that does get back to that point, that's the guy that's going to get over.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I agree with the fact of when a guy was a champion back in the day, at least for me, it felt like a big deal. Like, man, Booker T is a United States champion. Like, can John Cena beat him in this best of 5 series? And if John Cena becomes a United States champion, oh my God, John Cena's a champ. I mean, it felt bigger. And I don't know if that's just, I don't know what that's from. I really don't. I don't know if it's from the talent themselves, the booking of the talent, or are we looking at it with rose-colored glasses and thinking about yesteryear? Does a kid who's 10 years old think the same way I did when I was 10?
I don't think that's what it is, man. I really think the guys that go out there and make you feel are still the guys that get over it. Chris Jericho, at 50 years old, is still going out and making people feel a certain way, man. And that's why he's still relevant today in the business. I know a lot of people may, look at that and go, I don't agree, but he would not be still at the top of his game. He would not be the guy that's coming out and his music playing and the whole crowd is buying into it right along at the same time. That wouldn't be happening if he didn't know how to make people feel a certain way, because I don't think people come to watch Chris Jericho do the lion salt anymore. I don't think that's what it is. So I could be wrong.
They come to see Chris Jericho.
They come to see Chris Jericho. Bottom line. Hey, we got to get up out of here, man. We got to get up out of here, guys. But I just want to thank everybody in the chat, all the super chats, man. I want to thank you guys for supporting the cause. Bradley, as always, we got to figure this technical difficulty out. It's raining. It's raining here in the city of Houston. It's coming down. We got a big storm here. A band has formed over the city. But that's that's weatherman talk. We got to get up out of here right now. But we're going to be back on Thursday, guys. But right now, we out of here.
Can you dig it? Dig it, son?